Mr. Moolenaar is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank all the witnesses for being here today. Mr. Evanina, you led the joint FBI and CIA counter-espionage effort, so you've got a lot of experience with what the CCP is trying to do in the U.S. In your written testimony, you say that the CCP uses business people, engineers, and other workers for espionage. In my district, the U.S. subsidiary of a CCP-affiliated company is planning to build a massive battery component factory. In your view, is it basically a guarantee that some of the people who come from China to work on this project will spy for the CCP?
100%. So it's a combination, as my fellow witness, Mr. Wolf, said, that I think when you look at the threat is from the Communist Party of China, not the Chinese people, there will be an effort by the Communist Party of China to infiltrate that capability via cyber, human, and hybrid methods, using businessmen, engineers, and what we call the non-traditional collector. They will go over and above to implement their efforts in that particular technology that's in your district.
How do you feel the State Department does in terms of, stopping nationals affiliated with the PLA from attaining work visas, and do we have the resources that we need to vet people?
Well, I really don't know the statistics of the State Department's capabilities, but I will say that the Communist Party of China utilizes the visa program effectively and efficiently to get those strategic folks here in our homeland to do that work, and oftentimes lie on their applications, whether or not a member of the PLA, to be here studying in the high STEM capabilities.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Gorman, I wondered if you would comment if you have any concerns about Chinese autonomous vehicles operating and potentially collecting information on U.S. roads.
I tend to have a concern about many things that China operates, whether it's the apps on our phones or potentially roads on our streets. I could imagine, especially near sensitive facilities, that type of data gathering could be quite concerning. And I also take the view that just because maybe China has data on, 80% of Americans, that doesn't mean they will have that data going into the future. And we really need much stronger data protection and data security regimes, because right now it's open season.
Thank you. Mr. Gorman, I was intrigued by your comments about the long horizon science and funding that. And it seems that government has done better in terms of funding basic research as opposed to trying to pick winners and losers and what new technologies. I'm wondering if you could comment on any safeguards or concerns. What strikes me is when we fund basic research, we have an open publication process and scientific inquiry. How do we protect that from being used by the CCP and anyone else who we'd have concerns about?
Again, the great thing about American science and science in general is people come up with conjectures and hypotheses, and then they put them out there to be criticized and error corrected, and that's a process that leads to progress. So you don't want to stifle that. We also have a patent system which basically says we will give you a monopoly on this particular technology for 17 or 20 years in exchange for you telling us how you do it. But the telling us how you do it also tells the rest of the world how you do it. And so I think that probably requires scrutiny and consideration as it relates to intellectual property. On the human capital side of this, of the scientists, I want to give one just simple example of one individual that I think affects us all. There's an individual who was trained here in the United States, worked at Texas Instruments for 25 years, and felt like he hit a bamboo ceiling, and felt that whether it was because of ethnicity or racism or certain views, that he was not going to ascend higher. And Taiwan said, why don't you come here and build your company and we'll give you money. That individual was Morris Chang, and the company was Taiwan Semiconductor, TSMC. It could have been Texas Semiconductor Manufacturing Corp. And I hope that we don't make that mistake and are able to keep some of the best and brightest here on our shores so that they can develop the next TSMC here.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.